Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of New Music Friday. Today is July 16th and I have a few items of news, kind of a little bit of a slow news week in my opinion, at least what I came across. One pretty big news item that I'm excited to get into, but it was tough to kind of come up with some other items today. But hopefully it'll still be an interesting show. I think I've got some cool things to talk about, so I'm really excited. I'm back from vacation and from all the stuff out, and so this is the first weekend where I'm really getting a chance to get back into new music and into the channel and doing a few more episodes that I'm excited about. So that's going to be fun. So first I want to get into some new releases that came out today. The first is kind of an obscure band that I really appreciate. Their name is Smalltape, and they came out with an album in 2017 called The Ocean that I really liked a lot. It's kind of an underrated gem that many people probably don't know about, but it's Smalltape is a solo project by a musician / sound designer named Philip Nespetal. I believe he's German, and he just has a really interesting style. It's really not purely like the typical progressive rock you might think of, but it has a lot of different elements to it that really brings a progressive flair to it. And the new album is called The Hungry Heart, which came out today, and it has this cool vibe of some jazz influence, some classical influence, some alternative, some electronica even, and it just blends to make this really interesting, intricate music that I think is really worth checking out. I may do this in a review. I'm thinking about doing it as kind of a part of a new music shuffle with a few different albums, but I think it's really worthy of attention. I listened to it this morning. There's so much going on. It's a pretty lengthy album. It has this 21-minute epic towards the end called Dissolution, and just a lot of cool stuff going on in the mix that I think would appeal to a lot of prog lovers who love different kinds of music. So that's why I wanted to mention it, to check that one out. It's a very obscure release, like I said, but it's a really good one that I thought was really nice upon first listening. So I need to check it out more to get more concrete thoughts about it together, but just the initial impressions were good. So I wanted to mention that one. And on the total opposite end of the spectrum, another new album that came out today that I was kind of listening to this morning. I almost want to say a guilty pleasure, but maybe that's not quite fair. But it's the new John Mayer album, Sob Rock. Not usual in the progressive sphere, of course. He's not a progressive rock artist by any stretch, more of a pop artist, but I really appreciate what he does. I think he has a really good blend of this kind of pop rock, soft rock kind of vibe that sometimes I like as kind of a variety from the prog stuff that I listen to, kind of something more simple with beautiful melodies and great singing and guitar work. He's a good guitarist. He kind of is a notable blues guitarist as well. Does some country flavored things as well. This new album, Sob Rock, is cool. Much more a throwback to like a 70s, 80s style, kind of this yacht rock, soft rock of that era. So I thought that was just kind of cool and wanted to point it out. Don't want to spend too long on that because I know there's probably people who aren't into that, but just check it out if you want something more lighthearted and poppy and just kind of a laid back summer album, Sob Rock by John Mayer. So into the big news item that I wanted to make sure to mention. I think this is kind of the biggest notable thing that I've heard about in the prog realm is about Jethro Tull and that they're signed to Inside Out. Inside Out just, in fact, most of my news today is going to be about Inside Out. They've been really doing a lot, it seems, like adding a lot of new artists to the label and bringing in a lot of these notable prog maestros, these prog classic bands like Yes, signed to new Inside Out for their new album coming up, The Quest, and now we have Jethro Tull coming on board to Inside Out. Their new album is going to be titled The Zealot Gene. Looks like they've completed it, but it'll be released in early 2022. So a little bit of a wait before we see that album come out, but it's exciting to know that they're making new music and that they're signing to a new label, kind of implying that there probably will be even more new music coming from them. So I think that's really notable. Cool news. Once again, I've kind of been talking about this the several past weeks about these legacy bands that are older that you might think, oh, well, they're probably gonna retire soon, or they're gonna, just play their classic hits from the 70s and then kind of fade away as kind of almost a tribute act to their glory days. But a lot of these bands are really working hard to produce new material, like Kansas, Styx, now Yes is bringing in some new material, and now Jethro Tull. So it's really a cool thing to see these old bands still have that fire and still be excited to make new music. And so I'm hoping it's good. We'll see how it goes. Hard to predict at this point, but I think it definitely has promise, because Jethro Tull has such an extensive, great catalog. One that I'm still trying to explore and appreciate even more, because I know the classics, Aqualung, Thick as a Brick, even A Passion Play is one of my favorite classic prog albums. But beyond those, I still need to explore a bit even more in their catalog. But this should be interesting. It sounds like there's a lot of excitement about this signing. Just a quote from Ian Anderson about it. He said, "After 54 years in the world of music recording, it is with great pleasure that I now sign Jethro Tull to a record company, which reminds me in many ways of the old Chrysalis label, both as an independent and in its later years in partnership with EMI. Here are real music guys with a passion for the best and most creative in rock music. We look forward to a long and fruitful relationship and more releases to come." So more releases implies that, they're planning on making a lot more music, that there's a lot of plans in the work, which is really exciting. So just something I thought I had to mention. They mentioned the band lineup here. Ian Anderson, Joe Parrish James on guitar, Florian Opali on guitars on the album only, it looks like, Scott Hammond on drums, John O'Hara on piano, keyboards, and accordion, and then David Goodyear on bass guitar. So we'll see what that lineup can do and how the Zealot Gene will do as an album. I'll definitely be covering it, I'm sure, when it comes out in 2022. So a lot of new things, a little bit off in the distance, but exciting to kind of put a pin in and be excited about. As further news, like I said, a little bit lighter, but I saw some other kind of notable inside out news that I thought was worth sharing, just showcasing that they're really bringing on a lot of bands, both legacy and new acts. They really seem to be trying to expand their list of artists, so it's kind of cool. One thing I noticed is this release from Mandoki, Soulmates, which is something I'm totally unfamiliar with. But Inside Out, recently signed them, Mandoki Soulmates, featuring musician, songwriter, and producer Leslie Mandoki. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. And it looks like on September 24th, they have a new release coming out, kind of an expanded edition of Hungarian Pictures, which I believe was their latest album. Now it's released under the title Utopia for Realists, Hungarian Pictures. So sounds interesting. It was I'm not very familiar with this project, this group, so it was kind of hard to determine what actually this release entails. I was trying to read the press release here. I think it sounds like it's kind of both a Blu-ray audio and visual performance, combining a concert film with music. There's also a gatefold LP, CD, standard CD. So it just seems like there's a lot of different amalgamations of this kind of record. But one of the notable things I wanted to bring attention to, first of all, there's like a million big artists that are playing on this. Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull, Jack Bruce from Cream, Chris Thompson from Manfred Mann's Earth Band, Bobby Kimball from Toto. The list goes on and on. John Helliwell from Supertramp, Al Di Meoli. Just so many different names that at least have some recognition from me, as a big music fan. So that's what kind of drew my attention to this announcement. And I checked out, they have a full concert thing on YouTube that I believe I'll link to it in the description, because it was really fantastic. I was really pleasantly surprised. I listened to little bits of it. It's a pretty long YouTube video, but it just had a lot of cool instrumental stuff going on, a lot of guests from all over the world. It's kind of this international project, kind of trying to unite the world through music, and it was just kind of a cool thing to experience, and to see all these different artists, and to see, there's a lot of jazz flavor to it. And so just something interesting that it's kind of a new discovery for me, at least. So I thought I'd mention it. Another Inside Out band that just signed is Molybaron, a French-Irish alternative band. I listened to a little bit of a snippet of some of their prior music, and it's cool. It's very much more in the alternative vein. It's not really classic prog by any stretch, but there's something interesting there. I can see why Inside Out was interested in them, and so it's cool to see them, this kind of new young band, kind of get on board with this record label with Inside Out. So another cool signing that might produce cool results in the future. So just wanted to mention that if anyone has any familiarity with that band, or just excitement for discovering new bands. Inside Out, they kind of contain all my favorite bands right now, so that's why I'm hyper focused on them and who they're signing, and checking out all the bands that they're mentioning and that they are promoting. So just definitely a cool thing to look into. And also kind of an Inside Out news, they have a artist on their label, Spanish Instrumental Post Rock from Toundra. Looks like they're working on a new album. I listened to a bit of their stuff. It's actually pretty cool. A little bit heavy, but really good instrumental progressive music. And it looks like they're coming out with a new album in 2022 as well. Seems like that's going to be a pretty big year for Inside Out. A lot of these releases they're talking about are coming out like in early 2022. So that should be a pretty exciting time for new releases. Looks like it should be a cool release by them. They say that there's a big 22-minute song that takes up side A, and then side B contains 4 other tracks with more of their familiar style. So doing a little bit of experimenting with different things, it looks like. And so cool to see these young bands, and even legacy bands, and just bands of all, shapes and sizes and different flavors coming together on this label to kind of provide a home for unique creative music. That's what I appreciate. I think that's really cool. The Inside Out is doing that, and always seeking out new talent and looking for kind of the next big thing in prog, as it were. So that's kind of the basis of the news that I have uncovered. Now kind of a segment where I talk about the channel and what's going on there. I finally put out my Styx review this past week, which I was really excited to release and to talk about. I think it's a really great review. I'm really positive about the album. I think it's excellent. It's very uplifting and positive, prog-influenced rock. I just really think Styx has knocked it out of the park with this release, and shows that they still have so much vibrancy and excitement left. And so I'm excited to see how they continue. Are they going to continue making more new albums of this style? It'd be cool to see. So check out that review for my full thoughts on that. This next week, I plan to put out a episode about Gentle Giant. I did a ranking of Gentle Giant already, where I went through all their albums, but I wanted to put a focus on one of their albums in particular that just got a Steven Wilson remakes that I wanted to mention. So I'm going to be talking about Freehand upcoming this week, so I'm excited about that. I have a project, I'm waiting to hear more details about it, but I have a collaborative project that I'm hoping will come out tomorrow. I'm hoping to give more details on it soon, but that's in the works. I've been listening to a lot of music by the particular band that we're going to talk about, and so I'm really excited to get into that, to kind of do a deep dive into one of my favorite bands of all time. So hopefully that's coming soon, so be on the lookout. I'm not quite sure how to announce that or how to point people's attention towards it, because I'm just not very familiar, and I don't want to talk about it before it happens, just in case it gets moved or something happens with it. It's not really super set in stone yet, at least not the timing of it, but it should be tomorrow. So I'm really excited about it. It's kind of a new experience for me that I'm really, really excited for. And of course, just more stuff with my wife, more Jana Reacts coming down the line that won't be stopping anytime soon. So we got some fun kind of off the wall choices a little bit coming up. I don't know about off the wall, but just different things that might not be what would expect us to cover, I suppose. But hopefully you'll have an open mind and kind of check it out. I think beyond the song choices, our discussions and banter is fun to observe. So hopefully you agree with that and like what we do there. So with that all being said, I think that's good for an update. And I'm going to get into some new singles. So the first one I wanted to talk about is the new Big Big Train single, The Strangest Times. And this is an album I'm super excited about. I've been reading a lot of reviews that have been coming out this week about their album Common Ground, which comes out in July. July 30th, I believe, is the release date. And of course, I will be reviewing that. I'll be covering that heavily. I might do even other Big Big Train shows around it, kind of focused on the band, because I love the band so much. I'm really excited. I think it's a heavy contender for one of the best albums of the year, for sure. I haven't heard it yet, of course, so I'm just saying that as a fan and in anticipation and based on the reviews I've been reading. But I hope to check it out soon. I have it on pre-order, and I'm sure I'll be listening to it at the very least on release date. So really excited, and I'm excited to delve into this new track. I believe this is the opening track of the album, The Strangest Times, and I'm excited. I've tried purposefully not to really figure out too much about it, so I just wanted to do it kind of sight unseen here, or sight unheard. So, and once again, as I've been kind of talking about with these reactions and so forth, I'm just going to probably do snippets of the song. I'm listening to it in the real time in full, and will give my thoughts about it. But I don't want to get blocked or do anything that's questionable. I don't want to do anything that makes the artists or the labels uncomfortable. So I bet it would be okay with Big Big Train, but I still want to be respectful. So I'm still kind of figuring out that line of which artists are okay with it and which aren't, and what am I doing it in a respectful manner. So, because I really care about these artists, and I'm really, I don't make any money from this. I'm not trying to profit from these artists. I just genuinely love this music and want to share it. That's all my purposes with these shows. It's just me expressing my love and hoping a few people out there will be turned on to what I love. So, or will share in my excitement because they love these bands as well. So, without further ado, let me pull up the song and play it. Love that piano. That's cool. Great groove.
These are the strangest times. You better believe these are the strangest times. And I need to feel close to the earth, breathe the clean air to soothe my soul, just to clear my brain, to try and keep me sane. We sing the blues just to pull us through into tomorrow. Strangest times.
Yeah, it's super cool. I really like that a lot. Just a really cool song. Kind of this poppier prog song. Really fun and really just, of course it delves into the COVID lifestyle, the lockdowns, and trying to come out of that, and, basically their thoughts on that. So that's very relatable, obviously, and I think that's cool that they're covering that and tackling that situation and the need to kind of, get back out and to experience life again, after the lockdowns. I think that's cool to hear their kind of take on that, and so really I love there's a lot of cool piano melody in there, really cool. What I really like is this, when there's a proggy undertone, kind of this, there's progginess in there, but it's really a pop song at its core. It's really has this strong melody that's catchy and has a great hook to it, but it's more creative and interesting than just your standard, straightforward pop song. So I really like that kind of that mixture. And there was a really cool section in the middle as well that had a lot of kind of these harmony vocals and stuff that were layered and slowing it down a little bit. And that was really a cool section that I appreciated. And I like the video that accompanied it, was really well made. And I like kind of the ending with all the different band members with their loved ones and kind of getting back out and experiencing the world kind of thing. So really a cool, just positive, uplifting song. And I've liked all their songs so far that they've featured prior to their album release. I really liked Apollo, which I reacted to in a previous New Music Friday. That was an excellent instrumental. And I've heard there's a lot of really great stuff. It's like it's familiar, it's Big Train, but they're delving into a little bit of new styles and new subjects, because their older albums, they focus more on like this history and the English countryside and things about, even in mythology a little bit and things like that, grander themes. But I think they're trying to be a little bit more, relatable and more on a human level here. They're trying to bring that to a more personal subject matter. And I think that's kind of a cool direction. And I think they're bringing in a lot of influences from different places. Some of those more popular influences, like I'm hearing, but also some prog influences. And I think Rickard Soderblom and Nick DiVirgilio are definitely putting their spin on the music as well. So really excited to delve into the record when it comes. That'll be a big one that I'll definitely cover. And I wanted to do one other song here real quickly this is a band that I've heard mentioned a lot, but I haven't really delved too deeply into their music, and I kind of regret that. This is the band Io Earth, kind of a symphonic, folky, kind of band here. More laid back style, I'd say. Maybe not as heavy as some of the other more recent modern prog bands. But they get a lot of good attention. I think they have a pretty solid fan base. And they're coming out with an acoustic album, Io Earth's acoustic album, Volume 1. Looks like it's up for pre-order on their website, so go check that one out. It has half reworked songs from their catalog and then some half new material. So looks like it could be an interesting release that showcases an excellent prog band that's probably not recognized as much as they should be. And they've released a video that I wanted to cover called Streets. I haven't heard this yet either. I'll probably just, like I said, play cool little snippets of it to kind of give an impression and talk about it afterwards. So let me play Streets by Io Earth. Jazzy feel to it.
Just stay strong.
right, so that was IO Earth, Streets. Really, really great song. It's a pretty somber video, so it's tough to know kind of the mood to take after that. Very much once again about COVID and just the devastation of the pandemic and what it's done. The video is pretty powerful and moving in that way, and the song really emotional and really somber, and just really has a very specific mood and vibe that fits the video that they were showing. I really liked it, though. I think it was really well done. Just great piano playing was kind of the feature, very jazzy in its style. Some like saxophone soloing as well in the mix there, some beautiful female vocals. So just a really beautiful song, and be interesting to see how the rest of the album is. Is this kind of a more somber track, or is the whole album kind of have this mood and spirit? But definitely one to check out. It's a band that I have always been interested in and like a lot of their things, but haven't really given the deep dive yet. So I just thought it'd be cool to feature here. So, and with that, I've gone on way too long as usual. So I better close now, and hopefully you guys are all safe and doing well out there. Thank you guys for all your support and for watching these videos. I hope you like the content that I'm providing. Just trying to give some honest critiques and feedback, and trying to just talk about what's been exciting me in the world of music and what's been interesting to uncover. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. Please subscribe if you like what I'm doing and haven't yet. I really appreciate all the support and growing the channel, and it's really exciting to see new people come on board and be excited about my videos. So thank you guys all, and once again, as usual, please keep enjoying the music. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys soon. So thank you. Bye.